Hi, my name's James O'Neill. I'm doing this video from Cornwall, United Kingdom. It is 20 to 5 in the morning and it just happens to be Christmas Day morning. Went to bed a few hours ago, read for a little bit and got down to sleep. God had different plans for me. So there's no way I can sleep because I started getting a load of explanations because I'm doing a series of healing videos. I'm showing people how to do healing for themselves. I am making God available to them through YouTube videos with music. So number one was an explanation of the next 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, where grown-ups can listen to him, listen to the music, and help heal themselves with God. This is going to be an explanation now of how to heal babies and children with God. The next video will be a video that you can do to help heal your baby and your child. But first it needs an explanation. And this is what's been going on for like over an hour in bed. I'm like trying to get asleep. It's Christmas morning. I plan to do this later on. You know, actual Christmas morning after I've had a night's sleep or after I've had some sleep. But no, God's got different plans because God has plans for every single one of us. And every person listening to this video, you have to ask yourself, how did I get here? What set of circumstances happened that got me here? For this opportunity to learn, to spiritually connect with God, or to connect with an understanding of what is happening. And I'm going to tell you, I could have done this years ago if I'd have thought of it, but this idea came into my head about a month ago, and it's appropriate, Christmas time. So Christmas Day, we celebrate the birth of Jesus. So it's appropriate that I'm doing this video now, where I'm saying the video can help heal, like the next one, number 9, can help heal a baby or a child. And on the 23rd, so 2 days ago, I was swimming. I went for a swim. I've not been for a swim for ages. So I'm doing swimming. There's only 3 in the pool. And I'm just going up and down. I'm not a good swimmer, so I'm going up and down. And then I paused, and I'm sat there, and I'm stood there thinking, and all of a sudden I thought, yeah, that's why. Because I'd seen the headline of a video. I'll put a link to it below. I never watched the video, I just saw the headline. And it was WION, the Indian news channel. And the headline was, why are so many children in the world ill? And then it was something about the boosters and the vaccine. And I've talked about it before, but we are now in a period where babies are being vaccinated and boosted, children are being vaccinated and boosted, and then there's now a headline, why are so many children poorly? And here I am now, after all these years of having these CDs, this music. I've had it for years. I've had it for 20 odd years. God gave me this music to heal babies and children over 20 years ago. And gave me the music for adults over 20 years ago. God had me write this book in 2005 with the children's healing story. You read this story to a baby or a child and play the music in the way that I suggest, the way I describe. Don't alter it. It's simple. You will get something from it. That child, that baby will get something from it. Will that result be the perfect result you want? For some it will be, for some it won't. But there will be something. And so I'm there swimming, all of a sudden, poof, because that headline came into my head as I paused and I'm stood up in the pool, you know, leaning against the wall. That headline, what I'd seen a few hours before, why are so many children in the world poorly and sick? King Herod. What did King Herod do when it was announced to him by the wise men that the king is being born this night? Well, King Herod went out and slaughtered all the newborn babies. Because evil had a fear, power had a fear of newborn babies, newborn baby boys. Jesus. Now, I've said in many videos that the problems that we're getting now, God will organise the children to be born to solve these problems or to fight the evil. The babies that are being born now are to fight the evil. The babies that were born in the 30s, the 20s, were to fight the evil of Hitler. That's Second World War. All the babies are born for the evil for the future, to fight it. So we've now got an attack on babies and children. And it's the same as King Herod. It's to destroy the child base of humanity. And here's God now organising me to do these videos to help heal babies and children. Take it or leave it. But that was my revelation the other day. So how did this video come about? Because this story what God gave me is Meg's absolutely wonderful, tremendous, fantastic day. And what you do is you read this story to your baby or your child. And you think, why read it to a baby? A baby can't understand you. Well, it's the power behind the story. God is with the story. God, the energy of God is in the story. Anywhere this story is read to a baby in the world, the energy of God goes with the story. Don't need me. When I'm dead and gone, people can still use this story because the power is in the story. The energy is in the story, the power of God. And what you do is you connect with God through the story. You can connect with God through a prayer. But this is something new. This is something different. There's no religion there. There's no politics. An atheist can use this story to help heal a baby or a child. So I'm going to tell you how this came about, this story. And I've got to start with Mick the foreman. I was on a job in Manchester. I always worked on houses, and all of a sudden it came that I was getting disillusioned on building sites with houses. So for a total difference, I went working in the centre of town, centre of Manchester, and I went working on an apartment block, big block, loads of people. I have no control over anything. And I wasn't keen on it, but it is what it was. It was approaching Christmas, so I needed a job. And I think it was 2002. I think it was. It was about that period. Might have even been 1998. No, 2002. I'm going to say it was 2002. And I've been there a couple of weeks. And then I was in the basement where his office was, in this huge office block. It was the old Hacienda club. That site got knocked down and now they were building these apartments, the Hacienda apartments. So I'm down in the basement. I'm not too keen on the job, but it's Christmas. I'm not going to move so near Christmas. It's only a couple of weeks to Christmas, which is this period. And I'm talking to the foreman. He's there at the desk. You know, he's a little foreman, frustrated. I've not really got on with him. I've not fell out with him or anything, but we haven't made a connection. We'll just say we haven't made a connection. I'm just doing my job and I'm nothing special to him. And all of a sudden, he takes out a little packet of anodyne painkillers. He takes about 2 or 3. So I just went, oh, I've got a headache. Headache, he said. I've had headache for 12 years. Every day for 12 years. All right. So I just laughed and I just went, I'll sort that out for you. Just like that. Like I'm telling you now. I can help heal children and babies. And I just said to this guy in the building site who's had a headache for 12 years, I just said, I'll sort that out for you. I said, I'll fetch you some music in tomorrow and I'll do some absent healing for you. And he like looked at me as I was fucking mad. Didn't even bother replying to me. It wasn't worth a reply. My crazy comment that I will heal his headache of 12 years wasn't worth a reply. So I went home that night and I made a CD for him. It wasn't even CDs, it was tapes. I made a tape for him because I had tapes, master tapes and that. Anyway, I made a tape for him and I wrote out the instructions. I said, you have to play this at least once a week. You have to sit in a room on your own, lie on a bed, whatever. He had a wife and 3 daughters. His daughters were all teenagers, young teenagers, like 11, 12 and 13 or 12, 13 and 14. So he's on this huge job that's stressful. He'd worked for this company for 8 years and it was stressful, a lot on his shoulders. So I wrote on the instructions, you have to listen to this at least once a week. Well, it was actually 6. I gave him 6 cassettes. Well, 3 cassettes, 1 on each side. So I've gone to this trouble of doing that. But what I also did was, because I was living on my own, I had no issues, I had no... didn't see me kids or whatever, you know, I'm going through all that. So I've got time on my hands. So what I did was, I did an absent healing meditation for him where I sat on my chair and I played one of these CDs of music. I played one. And I meditated and I sent him healing from my chair miles and miles and miles away. To me, that's no issue, it's no problem. So I did that for him, unknown to him. He's dismissed me as a nutcase. He's not even bothered to think I'm a nutcase. He's just like totally blanked me when I said I'll do healing for him and I'll fetch him some music in. So I did my meditation, sent him healing and played the music. Next morning, I went in and to his office and I gave him the envelope. Said, yeah, there's the music, some instructions there. You have to play that music. So he said, what have you done? So I said, what do you mean? And these other guys there, he said, what have you done? So I said, why? So he said, my headache's gone. So I just laughed, you know, just went, yeah. To me, it's nothing. People who followed me, you think, oh, you'll go Jimmy, you know. It's nothing to me. This is nothing magnificent. To me, this is everyday work. This is something I know I do. I don't like big it up. This is like any job. So he says, my headache's gone. So this is an headache of 12 years. So I said, yeah, all right, it's gone. I did healing for you. I said to him, I did healing for you last night. But here's the music. You have to play that at least once a week. You have to play one of those. I said these 6. You have to play one at least once a week. 45 minutes. You have to take 45 minutes out. And I actually said, God will not do healing for you if you do not make an effort. God will meet you at, and I'm in this office of building work as well. I'm in this like basement. And it's like just a concrete, what's it? And all dark and gloomy, you know. And I said to him, I've done that. I said, right, your headache's gone. I said, but you have to listen to one of them once a week. At least once a week. You have to make an effort. Right, he says. I looked at him and I thought, you're not going to do it. And I knew he wasn't going to do it. Anyway, a couple of days later, he come up to me. He's not got his headache, you know, he's still in his first week. He's in the first days of pain-free. And he said, my headache's still not appeared. I said, well, and I'm like building a wall. These big, huge blocks, like lifting up this big block and putting it in. I looked round, he stood there. And he said, all right, Jimmy. He said, my headache's still not there. I said, well, yeah. Yeah, that's what I do, mate. I said, I told you. I said, but you've still got to listen to the music. He went, yeah. He said, what I didn't tell you the other day was, though, I've not slept a full night's sleep for 5 years. He said, I've had the headache for 12 years. That's gone. He said, but I didn't tell you that I've not slept for 5 years. I've not had a full night. I wake up in the night. The pain wakes me up. So I said, well, yeah. So I just went, yeah, but you've still got to listen to that tape. Done the healing, that's all sorted. But, and he walked away, and I knew he wasn't going to do it. Anyway, because of this, there was 3 foremen on this job. So, a couple of days later, this other foreman, who I didn't have much to do with, he came up to me, he came looking for me. And he said, Jimmy, he looked around first to see nobody was listening, because he didn't want anybody to know what he was doing. And he said to me, Jimmy, he says, you know what you did for Mick? I said, yeah. He said, can you help me? So I said, why, what is it? He said, I'm having horrific nightmares. He said, they're horrific. And he said, I'm screaming in my sleep. I'm getting up and screaming. My parents are rushing into my bedroom. This is a guy, he's about 27, 28. And he said, my parents had to come in rushing in, like my mum and my dad, and they're holding me down, and like then I'm waking up slowly and whatever. He said, but these nightmares are horrific. So straight away I knew he was under attack. He was under a spiritual attack, and it was demonic. Now people might go, Jimmy, you're mad, but I'm telling you, because as he's telling me, I'm getting the information. So I said, right, I'll do it for you tonight. All right, I'll sort it out for you, and I'll fetch the music in like I fetch the mic. So I went home and I copied my master tapes. You know, I made him 3 tapes, 1 on each side, and I brought in him for him the next day. Gave it him, and his nightmares stopped. So that's the 2nd foreman out of 3. So then, days later, so we're now in about 10 days since the first time I told the first foreman that I'll sort his headache. That's what I said to him, I'll sort your headaches out, mate. So about 10 days later, the other foreman comes to me and he starts talking to me, and I'm building this great big wall again with these big blocks. And the wind's howling through the building. It's November, end of November, early December. Freezing cold. And he comes talking to me, and I knew he wanted something. So I stopped, and I've got my foot on the blocks, and I'm like leaning on my knee, and we're talking about the job. He said, what are you doing next? I said, well, I've finished this one. I said, and then I've got the next wall loaded out, and then I'll start that. I'll get the first course in tonight, and then be on it tomorrow. Right. He says, yeah, my daughter's ill. So I went, all right. So he said, yeah, she's only 5. So I said, what's her name? He said, Megan. But as he started telling me my daughter was ill, when he said that, all of a sudden, God started giving me this story. So as he's talking to me, God is giving me this story. I didn't tell him. And God says, write this story to heal Megan. So he's telling me that his daughter's 5 years old. She's contracted pneumonia, and she's in intensive care. She's hooked up to all the machines. So when I say he's pretty calm about it, you could feel that he was now coming to the last hope for his daughter. He was coming to a bricklayer on a building site, 6'3", scruffy get, had longer hair, but he was all bald at the front. But I'm scruffy. I once got an award in the pub off the barmaids as the scruffiest man in the pub. The barmaids said they had a little vote to see, and I won it. I didn't know that. I got told it by somebody. This foreman has come to me for help for his 5-year-old daughter who is on life support for pneumonia. So I just went, would you like me to help? Because he didn't want to ask me. So I said, would you like me to help? Would you like me to do healing like I've done for Mick and what's it? He said, yeah, thank you. I said, what I'll do is I'll go home tonight and I'll make some music for her that you can play in the intensive care. So when you go to intensive care, you take your little radio and you put the music in. I didn't tell him about the story. I didn't tell him that as I'm talking to him, as he's talking to me, God is talking to me and giving me this children's story, Meg's Absolutely Wonderful, Tremendous, Fantastic Day. I didn't tell him. So I went home that night and I made the music because I had to make a special one for children and babies. I've got 6 for grown-ups, but I had to make a special one for children and babies. I never knew I was going to do this until that moment, until this time. So I made this special tape, which is now a CD, which will be a video after this on Christmas Day. Meg's Absolutely Wonderful, Tremendous, Fantastic Day. And as I made the CD, I started playing the music. And as the music started, I started writing. And it just flowed. And the title came from what I wrote. Meg's Absolutely Wonderful, Tremendous, Fantastic Day. It's in the story. So I wrote it all down. Next morning, I went into him and I said, give me an envelope. I went, there's the music, but there's something extra with this. I've wrote you the story. And I actually said to him, God gave me a story. It's called Meg's Absolutely Wonderful, Tremendous, Fantastic Day. It's like his daughter's called Megan, Meg. I said, what you've got to do is you've got to read her the story in the hospital and then play the music. Right, he says, right. I said, and don't worry. Right, he says. So I gave it him. It's now his responsibility. I've done all I can do. Same as I did with the first guy. Gave him the music and I just knew he wasn't going to listen to it. Second guy, I didn't give him any music. I just healed him. He didn't have to listen to music because his problem was spiritual and he was under spiritual attack, demonic. He didn't need, when I say he didn't need the music, yeah, the music was doing good. But this was a different type of healing. I knew I didn't have to give him the music. You know what I said. But I didn't give him music. So now I've given this third guy. Now here's the thing. I never ask. How did it go? Did it work? I never ask. I learned very early on. You do not chase. You give it to people and then that's it. If they want to tell you, yeah. But I'm not in it for the glory. I'm not in it for the glory. So I did the healing for him. So I've done what I've got to do. I've done what's required of me by God. And that's all you can do. You can't do any more. Because if you do more, you're then walking into the realms of ego. Your ego will come into play. And that's when your problems start. So I never chase. So basically, now this, he didn't say anything to me next day, couple of days. But a week later, about a week later, he said to me, my daughter's out of hospital, she's all right. I went, well done, thanks. Well done, I says. You know, I said, I'm glad you did what I asked and that. I said, and yeah, it's nice to hear, thank you. And I meant thank you because it's good for me as well. It's not good for me that I know I've helped heal a child. No, it's good for me that I'm on track, I'm on course with God's plan. Of helping people, helping children, helping babies. Anyway, another week later, he comes to me and he said, I was in the bath last night. So I'm having a bath. He said, Megan come in. And she's there like little girls do with their dad. And she said, hi, Dad. And he said, all right. And she said, Dad, I'm just going to go into my bedroom and listen to my song. And he said, all right. And he said he could hear the music from her bedroom. So when he finished his bath, got dried, he went into the bedroom. And there she is on the bed, fast asleep with the music playing. That was his way of saying thank you. That was his way of saying it was important. And he let me know, without saying thank you, that was his way of doing it. And I appreciated it. So, those three foremen, Holy Trinity, the power of three. Not just three people, it was three foremen. Three wise kings, Christmas. That's just come into my head. And that ties in what I said about Herod. Our children and our babies are under attack from evil. They don't want the positive-minded children to be born. They don't want the positive-minded children to come through their childhood into adulthood to take on evil, to take on the system, because it's evil. It's pure spiritual evil. And we now have a modern age King Herods. We have the evil elite that are all King Herods. So we had that. And I'll tell you another quick story. I went on another job about 6 months later, and there was a foreman there. It's a right crappy little job. There's no way I should have been on it, but it's just the way things were working at the time. I ended up on this crappy, horrible little job. I got talking to this foreman. He was only there a week. He came, and then the job was that crap. He left. But he started talking to me about his daughter who was in hospital. She's like 19, and she was waiting for an operation on a brain. She had a tumour or something, but they couldn't operate on her because there's something to do with the spinal fluid. It was flooding or something, so they had to drain it before they could operate, and she was in that much pain. So I said, I'll fetch you a CD in tomorrow. CD, I'm still on tapes. I said, I'll fetch you a tape in tomorrow. Give it her and tell her to play it, because she's permanently in hospital and they can't operate on it until a condition settles down, the pain and all this fluid and all this stuff. Can't remember the exact details, but they couldn't operate on her because of this pain she was in, this constant pain and the stress. They were going to operate on the spine. They tapped the spine here or something. So anyway, so I gave it him. Now this was a really gruff bloke, bit of a monster bloke. One of those blokes that kill anybody who harmed his daughter. He had like hands like shovels. He was a bit of a monster. So anyway, a couple of days later, he come to me and he said, Jimmy, he said, thanks for that. He actually come to me and said, thanks. He said the nurses are listening to it because they can't believe what an effect this music has had on her. That's one of these that was these 6 CDs. Because I gave her the 3 tapes again with all 6. So she was in hospital playing him with her headphones on, and the pain went, so they could do the procedure. But he said to me, the nurses don't understand. They're listening to the tapes, thinking, what's going on? So that's the power of those 6 CDs that I've given you previously. But what I'm doing is I'm showing you the importance of following simple instructions to connect with God. But I'm showing you the power of that, each CD of music. So each tape of music that morphed into CDs, that has now morphed into videos. I'm showing you the power. And it's going to be amazing how people will complicate it and try to change the rules. They'll try and change the rules. They'll try and change the way of approaching it. Because ego, refusal to believe it's God, but it could be an energy. Like David Icke. David Icke will not mention God anymore. David Icke got humiliated. David Icke got humiliated on the Wogan show. David Icke will not say God anymore, even though he used to go around saying he was the son of God, wearing these like lavender colours and these like little violets. But once he got humiliated, it crashed his ego, Now he just says energy. So people will change it to energy. Well, I won't change it. It's God. And God is as good as any word for the creator. If you want to say creator, say creator. But it's nothing to do with religion. None of the religions can claim ownership of this God, this creator. Because the religions are all power bases. So this is just me giving you the music through the videos, and then you following simple instructions. So for this, the next video will be number 9. And it'll be Feeling the Healing, Meg's story. I'll keep it simple. I will do the prayer. I will do the prayer to seal the room. That's how I will start the video. I will seal the room through the prayer. But I'll also put the prayer underneath so that you can copy it and you can say it. Because if you're doing healing for the baby somehow, you will be there in the room. You will be present. Others may be present. So I will start the video where I will say the prayer to seal the room. Then I will read the story. But you can read the story as well. Because what you can do is after you've done it 1 or 2 times, you can go straight to the music. You can say the prayer yourself. You can read the story yourself. Because what I'm going to do is I'll do a video where I do the story. That'll be in a couple of days' time. And I'll actually do the story on video so that you can copy it. Oh, I'm not quite sure how I can do it. But I'll read it out. I've done it before. A couple of years ago. Made a video. So I'll say the prayer. I'll seal the room. I'll do that for you. I will read the story. So I will do that for you. It will then go straight into the music. So that's it. So all you've got to do is get a laptop, smartphone, have it in the room with the baby or the child that needs healing, and just press play. And then silently all sit quietly. And once that room is sealed, you can actually say, God, I ask for love and healing for my baby, my child, the name, whatever the circumstances you're in. As the story has been told, as the prayer's been said, the story's been told, and as the music is playing, you sit and listen to the music, and you simply ask God for love and healing for that baby or that child. And that's it. That is how simple this is. And in the time of Herods, who are doing everything they can to harm the children, this simple thing that is God-given can help heal some of those babies and some of those children.